Hello, today I'm here to talk to you about coronavirus and its state in Canada as well as the rest of the world. So, I've been noticing as of late, people have been getting very anxious at home and are questioning certain scenarios, as, for example, looking at Sweden and using them as an example to see how the lockdown is going and whether it's even worth it because the economic scenario that could occur after this is all gone could be more severe than the virus itself. And right now, it's an interesting time because most people are getting some government-funded checks coming in their way, and they're it's in a their rent is frozen, their mortgages are frozen. They aren't really feeling the impact of it. There's no urgent action that needs to be taken. There's no sense of urgency. It's more of a wait game right now. And I feel that's putting the whole scenario of the virus into kind of like a sleep in a way. People are kind of sleeping through it. They're not really experiencing the actual implications of what it can cause. Now, let's go on to today. For example, today there is in 606 new cases in Ontario confirmed. And this is the highest number that's been reported since they started reporting these numbers. Although the headline is a little over exaggerated because although it says this is the highest single day high, the amount of beds that are occupied in hospitals as well as the percentage of increases compared to tests is actually less. What I mean by that is, let's say you test 5,000 people and 250 come positive. There's a significant percentage. The percentage is, let's just say it's somewhere in the single digits, right? It's below 10. Then let's say you test 6,000 people and 275 come in. I would say that's pretty consistent. But then let's say you test 6,500 people and 280 come in. That's only 5 more over 500 more tests, but only 5 more cases. So although it's a record high, in quotations, it's not really a general increase in correlation to the tests that are being done. Now, of course, many people can start the controversy that the tests, there's a lot more cases in general, so it doesn't really matter what the tests report as long as when we start testing, let's say 20,000 a day, then we can get a general picture, which is true. We have to always assume that there are more people that are contagious going around with the virus than is actually reported, and it's actually factual pretty much because not everyone who has it is going to get tested for multiple reasons, especially with Ontario turning down many of the people that come in. But as of right now, according to the numbers we're getting and ramping up, it's actually not as bad as the picture is painted to be. Now, the main topic I want to talk about in this video, and not to go over the top on it, is the reopening of society, especially in Ontario, and how that's going to happen. Now, there are many ways, especially with the way people are acting. They're going to have to go back to work. They're going to have to pay their bills like the way they want entertainment. They want their previous lifestyle. Of course, many have accepted the sacrifices that are willing to be made. But besides that, how can this happen? Now, it's been told that it's going to be going in phases, the reopening. So, for example, in Toronto, Mayor John Tory says eventual reopening of city likely to be phased over a period of months. Now, what does that mean, phased, right? Well, how he puts it, Tory said that while the exact details on the reopening of the city are still a work in progress, it will be done in using a staged process, which we already assume. Tory said that some activities, like the use of dog parks, perhaps represent a lower risk and can be reopened sooner. So again, this is more about like the leisure activities people may partake in, but it's not saying too much about the economy. It's saying that restaurants may reopen. He said questions when how to reopen restaurants, large rooms, lots of debate. So again, these kind of places such as restaurants, businesses, the ones that can't operate online, are going to take a while to reopen, and those are the really significant ones. Yes, people need to go out, they need to exercise, they need to let loose a little bit, but the general, more healthier aspect of it all, and I say in the bigger picture, the more significant part of it is the reopening of the economy. And we have a lot of private businesses, we have a lot of businesses in general who are struggling to make ends meet as of right now, and the implications of that, the longer this goes on, is a lot more hefty than having a few people go outside to walk in the park, I feel like. Now, secondly, I read an article recently, and the way these phases will go, the way these phases will operate, is that to start reopening the city or any place, any region within that region, World Health Organization says there needs to be a 14-day consistent decline. So for 2 weeks, the cases need to decline in the virus. Once that happens, their measures can be taken to slowly start reopening things. That is the way. So far in Ontario, we are far from that. Now, there are many speculations upon how would it even occur. Let's say we do reach this scenario where 14 days in a row, 2 weeks, we have a decline in cases. Not to say that this has to be followed, but it's likely it's something along those lines, a guideline will be followed. Maybe it'll only be a week here, we don't know. But let's say a decline that does happen. Now, what does that mean? Does everyone go to work wearing masks? Does every event make masks a necessity? How would people function in society? We know in Wuhan right now, the restaurants that have been opened as of late actually aren't getting that many customers because people are still scared. And even until a vaccine is made, it is true, life cannot really go back to normal, because even if we open society again, people are still going to be cautious to partake in many events and participate or go out to large gatherings. So even if the economy were to resume, it's still going to be very difficult to actually create the public security that is needed to have people actually contribute to the economy like it was before. So that's another obstacle that needs to be addressed. Now, going on further, let's look at Germany, for example. Students in Germany went back to class to take their final exams on Monday, as school that had been shut down last month to stem the spread of the coronavirus epidemic began to reopen. The partial reopening, agreed last week by Chancellor Angela Merkel and regional premiers, started with the oldest students, who observed strict social distancing as they read their papers. So, from what previously was stated, it was very, people were highlighting the fact that Germany is pretty much going back to school, and that does not seem to be the case. This is more about the exams. And they were very cautious to send students in, since there's actually social distancing for the exams. And younger students are not even going back as of yet. They're still debating on that. It's pretty crazy, because we know there's parents, there's kids that are staying at home right now, and there's just families that are just tied together in a very confined location, and no one can go anywhere. It's very irritable, and people understand that, and they are trying to find ways in the other countries where maybe schools can open, because they understand that it's very hard to be at home with your kids all day and just having to very little personal time in general for anyone. It's been difficult for a lot of people, and that's why you hear a lot of questions about when are daycares going to be open, when are schools going to be open, is the school year done for here for till next September? And I would have to say, after from what I've read, they're not going to open schools in Canada again, most likely, unless it's like British Columbia, which has plans to reopen next May, slowly start reopening. I mean this May, in about 2-3 weeks from now. They're not going to reopen schools in Ontario. Those are done for the year, because there's no reason to send kids back. By the time things are going to start to open in Ontario, given that the cases are still rising, there's going to be the best case scenario late May. That's my estimate on the very best case scenario. Late May, last week of May, things will start to open slowly. And to send kids back to school for 2 weeks maximum, 3 weeks, is very unintended. And plus, what are they going to do? They have to cram all the material they missed, which is about 2 months into 3 weeks, is going to be chaos. Some parents are going to be hesitant in general to send them back to school. And what if, of course, everyone hopes it doesn't happen, what if there's an outbreak in the school? What if the kids start catching the virus and bringing it home to their family, or, of course, affecting their own personal health? It could have terrible, terrible consequences. And this brings me back to the last point I'm going to discuss. Now, why doesn't Canada reopen and then see the Sweden approach? Because the effects of reopening the economy and then closing it again are worse than actually riding this out. giving people hope and then opening businesses, having them hire new people, having them resume their processes, and basically reinvest into like opening up and cutting their losses, and then saying, oh, the cases are going back up again, we have to close up. That would just take out all hope anyone ever had and pretty much shut everything down completely. It would have mental effects and economic effects that are even worse than now, I would say, because the crash that comes with the closure is a lot more steep than the crash that happens throughout. So it's not really worth it in the big picture to do that. Anyways, thank you for listening. If you want to keep updated, subscribe to the channel. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think is going to happen in Canada? And what is going to be the impact of this virus? And when are we going to open up again? All right. Stay safe, everyone. And see you next time.